What's up guys, Gary here. A little bit of Inception. I'm editing the video that you're watching currently, and some of the frame rate isn't the best. So instead of just scrapping this review because when I saw this, I already was in a lot of pain as I recorded this. It wasn't my favorite album of the year, but I did have a lot to say, so there was something to be said to still putting this album out, or this review out. So nevertheless, here we are. But yeah, please forgive the weird frame rate issues at certain points. But other than that, enjoy Trippie Redd review by me in the future / past, depending on when you're looking at this. Haha, got you, magic, woo, movies.
What is up? My name is GARRETT on Twitter, YOOGRRTT. Thank you so much for tuning into the Now Inrotation YouTube channel. Welcome back to another album review. Today we're talking about Trippie Redd, A Love Letter to You for, this just dropped back on November 22nd, 2019, and this project is the fourth entry, obviously, in the A Love Letter to You mixtape series. This kind of even predates back to before Trippie Redd really blew up. Love Scars does derive from number one, but then you even had like songs like Rack City, which was featured on the Lyrical Lemonade music video page, and that's kind of the inception of Trippie Redd being a name that you are going to recognize. And from then on and forth, we've seen plenty of source material to be on his second, if not third album of the year. And with this one, he had exclamation point earlier in this year. Last year he had A Love Letter to You 3, as well as Life's a Trip. This guy puts out content. If you're just a fan and this is like all you're looking for, this is where you're going. You have abundance of shit to just go through, listen to, enjoy, and he does a good job of keeping the same quality. But on this one, that's where I feel like the gripe is kind of showing for myself, is when you look at this, it does sit at about 22, 21 tracks long, and this thing's long in the fucking tooth. It almost runs about an hour, and does it need to be this long? Does it need to? No, it doesn't. Not at all. There's like 4 themes that he's touching on, but he's doing it in the most like elongated and bloated way as far as delivery goes. While each song can individually be looked at as its own entry, as its own standpoint, as its own thing, as its own exclamation point to the point being made. But when you're going on like 4 tracks back to back that all pretty much say the same things, but just kind of feature different cameos from various artists, and they're not even sometimes the best cameos, it does kind of end up just being something that feels like a chore to listen to fully through. And that also does come across in the production, where the production, again, individually is fire, but there's not really one producer who's really just carrying this whole thing. I want to say pretty much every song, if not every other song, is produced by somebody else, whether that's Nick Mira, Murder Beats is on there, Starboy, Pierre Bourne, etc. There's just a grip of people on there. And while this does kind of come across as like a compilation project, while this does kind of just come across as like a big fucking like party at recess, it just doesn't work for me as far as him showing off and making a good cohesive project. Because if there's one thing that this isn't, or it's just not cohesive, man. It's just not. And that's not the easiest thing to do, though, when you do have 21 tracks and you are trying to carry this forward on your own back. But, it's not like he doesn't have 50 features on this thing. It doesn't like he doesn't have, again, a bunch of different fucking producers. If the whole goal of this was to just find a way to just get a bunch of streams on your profile, and to maybe have like 3 or 4 that actually do take off and have numbers and have traction and are like the standouts, then I think you do definitely have those in there. There are a couple tracks that I do enjoy. There are a couple tracks that I'm like, yeah, this works, but it doesn't need to be hidden within 21 other fucking tracks, or within a 21 track project that just doesn't hold up to the standard that the best projects do, or the best examples do. And while this does really ride off of the breakup of him and Coi Leray, even with the opening track, which is very much just a in-your-face, hello, I'm sad, and you get that throughout, obviously, where these are very much like love letters to heartbreak, love letters to, just feeling alone. He does that well, but again, does this need to be as long as it was and packaged in the way that it was? No, No, it doesn't. And while I didn't enjoy A Love Letter to You 3 that much, A Love Letter to You 2 is going to still be my favorite even after this one. But looking at A Love Letter to You 3, it is interesting how I really didn't enjoy that project. I don't look back on it being like, yes, this one was the one. But in comparison to how this is being presented and how this one is being released, I would rather listen to A Love Letter to You 3 at least 10 times over. At least with that, you had a really good song in Topanga. On this, I really don't feel like you have one of those at all. And that's kind of ridiculous. But, you know, as far as getting his heart out there and letting us know how he feels, he takes his fucking time on doing that, but the point does come across eventually. Whether or not it's in the first track that you understand it, by the 21st track, you're still going to understand the same point. There's no other point here. He's just sad and getting over it, and he's still the man in his eyes, but has to remind himself. And even though sometimes he just wants someone to reciprocate that, he can't seem to find it. But, you know, he can't be too mad because it's giving him content and giving him money in the bank and allowing him to build a pretty long and decent, dense discography, if you will. Looking at the cover art, I do want to shout that out. I like that. I like his cover art. Most of the time, Life's a Trip is one of the coolest cover arts, period. You know, this is also a cool entry. Let's get into the track listing real quick. I'm going to have to fucking take a deep breath. Track number 1 is La Ray. Track number 2 is Who Needs Love. Track number 3 is Love Sick. Track number 4, Love Me More. 5, Real Feel. 6, This Ain't That featuring Lil Mosey. 7, 6 Kiss featuring Juice WRLD and YNW Melly. 8, Till the End of Time. 9, You Deserve It featuring Chris King and Quanta. Track number 10 is Hate Me featuring Young Boy Never Broke Again. All For Me featuring Smoke Perp. Track number 12 is Sickening featuring Tory Lanez. 13, The Grinch. 14, Death featuring DaBaby. 15, R.M.P. 16, M's featuring Lil Yachty and Pierre Bourne. 17, Bust Down Dough featuring Uv D. 18, The Jungle Book featuring Lil Wop. 19, Chosen. 20, Abandoned featuring Mariah the Scientist. 21, Can You Rap Like Me Part 2 featuring Chris King. Holy shit. Yeah, exactly. Like, why? Why is this just like an SNL skit with like 700 fucking credits? Like, why? It doesn't even like feel like it was paid off by the end of this thing. It doesn't even feel like I like was satisfied by seeing like all these cool rappers come together and make cool music. It's like it doesn't actually pay off at all. Like, that's a lot to ask of your audience to sit here for an hour and listen to this shit. It's kind of crazy to me, but maybe if that is why you are a huge fan of Trippie Redd, if Trippie Redd is all you're looking for, then this is probably all you need, and this is awesome. But as somebody who's like at least looking for something different, I like Life is a Trip because I feel like he did get experimental. He did express his weirdness and like lean into it. And his vocal range is like the number one thing that you're gonna like call out on. He's not the best singer, but he has such a cool voice. The screaming performance in hip-hop, like, he does it in a different way than you would think. It doesn't feel like screamo's coming in, but it does still have that punk rock edge, and that's the appeal, at least in my opinion. And I just feel like you don't even get the best versions of that on here, and that's unfortunate. The first 5 songs were literally kind of work for me to get through. I was trying. Lil Mosey doesn't sound too bad on this album. That's not the problem. But when you do have Juice WRLD and YNW Melly on 2 tracks with Trippie Redd, you are expecting at least a banger of a record, and I did not even slightly feel like that was anywhere near as good as it could have been, and that was kind of disappointing. Honestly, it wasn't until track 9, You Deserve It with Chris King and Quanta, that was the first song on the whole project where I was like, I'll say I enjoyed that. That was fine. But Hate Me with Youngboy Never Broke Again, that was the point where I heard Trippie Redd, so I thought, do something crazy different with his voice. It sounded fresh. It sounded like he was original, and it sounded like he had something else up his sleeve that I hadn't heard. That was not the fucking case, because it was just NBA Youngboy on the track. He just came in, like, they just split the verses, like, and it's pretty cool. That is one of my favorite songs on the album, no joke. There it is. Smoke Perp with him didn't do much for me. I was expecting more from there. Tory Lanez, just destroys his feature on this thing with track 12, Sickening. Trippie Redd and Tory Lanez, I feel like it's not too hard to draw lines to each other, but when you have Tory Lanez come on your fucking track and he rides the beat and just does the whole singing mantra vibe that you guys both kind of do, but just 1,000 times better in both performance, quality of voice, lyricism, switch up a flow, like Tory Lanez destroys his spot on this album, and I don't want to understate that, but it just also put a big magnifying glass over what Trippie Redd does. The Grinch is like the most laughable shit. It was corny. It didn't work. Those type of songs can either be super corny or cool because they kind of are corny. It's just fucking corny. It doesn't work. Death featuring DaBaby. DaBaby is somebody who I feel like has done a great job this year of coming onto a track and just making it better than it is. So I do give this song a pass because I do, one, really appreciate the production. I think it's Pierre Bourne on this one. I wish that they added a little bit more of this like undertone, like there's this like little like that Trippie does on this thing, and I wish he did it more because it's only showing up at the end of this. But I wish they let a little bit more into the like kill people vibe, because that's literally what this shit is. It's like, come up on me and I'll fucking run up on you, and that whole like I'll punch you in the face shit is like, you got to get DaBaby on that type of track. And to have Trippie on there where he's also kind of like a scary motherfucker, it works for different reasons also, because Trippie can also sound super whiny when he's trying to sound hard, so that's always funny. Lil Yachty, he's here, he's present, kind of. I don't know if he was asleep, but I honestly, it was boring, man. It's such a disappointment. Pierre Bourne, he's there too. You've D, he's a foreign rapper. I appreciated that. I don't know where he's from. I believe it's French, based on the dough in the title being spelt that way. But yeah, I really honestly appreciated that. It's not the best track, but I do like that he did throw this guy on there, because it is a breath of fresh air for a quick second. The Jungle Book featuring Lil Wop. Lil Wop, besides Tory Lanez and DaBaby's, like Lil Wop honestly has the best piece of anything on this album. That is the best like opening of any track. It gets you excited, and then he just hands it back off to Trippie, and then you're like, okay, all right, we're back to where we were. But Lil Wop, man, that's like my favorite beat other than the one with DaBaby. Those two tracks really are just the ones you're looking for. I feel like if you're going into this album looking for something that's a little bit like this, those are the two, The Jungle Book as well as Death. 19 Chosen can tell you. That's the problem, is I get some really good highs and then it just drops me right back to this weird low. But the final two tracks I appreciated. Mariah the Scientist and him do make a pretty good, more of like a love ballad, more of like a slower, I feel like they're taking their time and trying to say something that's a little bit more sentimental. Again, it's nothing new. It's just the same themes that appear on this. But I do think the package that this delivers to you is really easy to listen to, and is something that does make you not want to skip it if you have been skipping most of this album, because it is different enough that you're like, okay, finally, like let's fucking enjoy this for a second. So I actually really appreciate that song, and that's where Trippie Redd does shine, is where he does find these little flashes, like with Topanga and stuff, where I feel like Topanga does touch on real shit. It does have a moment of like, hey, this is talent, let's not act like it's not. But when you have 21 other fucking tracks on this thing, it's so hard to hit like that every time. But yeah, Abandon, good song. But going into closeout track, Can You Rap Like Me Part 2. While I do not think this is like the better half of the first part, in the addition to Chris King can rap his fucking ass off. He used to have a mixtape back in there. He does have a mixtape from way back in the day, like 2014, called Fontana. He grew up in the same like county that I did, so people knew of him back in the day before the whole Trippie Redd friendship and fame. But yeah, Chris King is someone who can rap, and then to have like Trippie Redd kind of like try to rap as fast as him at a certain point, it's a little bit over the top, but I mean, I appreciate it. I do appreciate when Trippie does say like, hey, I can't rap, so stop hating on me, because that's not fair, man. Trippie can't rap. He's just a weird package sometimes, and it's not always the best rap, but he can. It's there. He shows it off on this one. And yeah, there's something interesting with this. There's also like an XXXTentacion snippet in there, and he's talking about like finding love. And Trippie and X's whole thing is so weird. Who am I to speak on it, but it is an interesting thing to like just kind of have him cut in real quick right there. Well, maybe he does identify with it. It still was a little weird. just felt like equally as disjointed as this whole project. So maybe that makes it a perfect fit for this weird project. I can't say I suggest this thing. I would kind of hone in on the songs that I talked highly of. But if you are looking for an hour to kill while you're fucking mowing the lawn, maybe this is great mowing the lawn music. Who am I to say? But if you haven't heard this project, let me know in the comment section below. What did you think? Thank you so much for tuning into this channel. I really do appreciate your time and all of that great stuff. We're approaching Thanksgiving, so I do want to say I am thankful for you guys. That is no bullshit. Thank you for all that you do, checking in. I do appreciate it. If you want, you can follow me on Twitter at YoGarrett, YoGarrett, Instagram as well, Now Notation on those 2 platforms as well. Take care of yourselves. Thank you so much, and that is all, you beautiful motherfucking folks.